Hey guys, I had a little technical difficulty getting online and I hope this is working. It's always a crapshoot. We have pretty high winds here in Santa Barbara today, so sometimes it tends to mess with our internet cables. All these things we have to deal with electronics, right? Anyway, super excited to be here for Facebook Live Friday. If you're online with me, say hello or give me a thumbs up or throw me a little heart. I love always showing up here and sharing with you on Fridays during these sessions. And I'm Melissa Costello. I'm a transformational eating coach and holistic nutritionist. So today I didn't share a topic because I wanted it to be kind of a surprise. I also was not 100% inspired with an idea. Normally I get hit with ideas all the time. And but today what came to me very last minute was food labels. And I don't mean the labels on a can of food. Hi, Wendy. What I'm talking about is when we label foods as good or bad or healthy or unhealthy, and how those foods can tend, or those labels can tend to keep us stuck in a bad pattern. Quite a while back, I wrote in a blog about just labeling ourselves in general, vegan, paleo, plant-based, all of those labels, and how sometimes labeling ourselves can be out of alignment with what our bodies really need. Because sometimes what I found is that I was hardcore vegan for 13 years. And I love it, and I love being vegan, and it's my natural tendency to eat vegan. And I was, labeled a vegan chef and a vegan this and a vegan that, and everybody looked to me for all the vegan information. And I am a wealth of information when it comes to veganism, and I do know that, and it's something I'm passionate about. And back in 2012 or 13, something changed because I had adrenal burnout and I was going through a very, very stressful period in my life. And I had to, for a short period of time, stop being vegan. And I needed to drink some really healing bone broth and some raw eggs and do things that I normally would not do or eat, or was very much against my label of vegan. I pretty much got my identity around that label, and it was something I held to very tightly. And in the end, it ended up not 100% serving me. And so, although I'm probably, I'd say 99% vegan now, I don't call myself a vegan. I just really am more about intuitive eating and more about aligning with my body and being flexible. So flexitarian is a great label for that. But again, it's like these labels tend to get us caught up and stuck in a cycle. And did you ever notice that whenever you tell someone like I'm a vegan or I'm eating paleo, they're always watching what you're doing? They're like watching what you're eating. And I remember when I used to travel with Tony Horton, everyone used to like look at what he would eat, and they were always worried about what he would say about what they were eating. It was just there was just so much around food. And is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is it good? Is it bad? And all of these labels tend to keep us stuck in this vicious cycle with food. And it also keeps us in the dieting mindset. And my goal here and my passion is to help you break that mindset. I don't want you to have a dieting mindset anymore, but it's become the norm, and it's something that we're raised with. And I can't tell you how many of my clients tell me, when I was young, my mom would be on, this diet or that diet. And sometimes I did the diets along with her. And so it's a very common way of being raised. It's almost the norm. It's very cultural for us to diet and to be on a diet and to be constantly like restricting and losing weight. And so this whole idea of food labeling as good or bad or healthy or unhealthy keeps us stuck in that dieting mindset. I was on a call with a client of mine last week, and we were doing a refresh session. She had gone through one of my programs and did amazing and just came out the other side feeling incredible and empowered, and just completely shifted her relationship to food. And so she just kind of wanted a refresher because she noticed some things were starting to come back up for her. And, it was interesting to hear her talk and still use some of the old language that she had used when we first started working together about, I'll just have one piece of chocolate, and I'll be good and have one piece of chocolate, and how we attach these labels of good and bad or healthy and unhealthy to our behavior and food. And it just doesn't serve us. It keeps us stuck in that diet mindset and mentality. So I think most of us know on some level how to eat healthy, right? We kind of almost know what to do. But if it were as easy as knowing what to do, we'd all just be doing it very easily, right? But it's not that simple. And, our bodies will always tell us when they don't like something. And when we are labeling foods as good and bad and healthy and unhealthy, it's almost like we're labeling ourselves as good and bad or healthy and unhealthy. Or if I eat that unhealthy food, I'm going to be unhealthy. Or if I eat that bad food, I feel bad about myself. And so the cycle continues, and then we feel poorly, and then we give up, or we feel discouraged, or we feel like, oh, I just messed everything up. I didn't do it perfectly. And so my encouragement to you, and what I really want to convey today, is to start to let go of that mindset around good and bad foods and healthy and unhealthy foods. And what would be really helpful is to start to look at where those originated for you. So you can even make a list of like all the foods that you call bad and where that thought originated from, and all the foods you call unhealthy and why you think they're unhealthy. Because here's the thing, it's like, if we want to eat the things that we enjoy that maybe might not be super healthy, we should be allowed to do that without the judgment. We should be allowed to enjoy it. Like, we can't be perfect all the time. We can't have this healthy mindset all the time. If we want to be healthy and balanced, that includes everything. And I'm not saying, eating a box of donuts is healthy. I mean, there is really an attunement here, because eating a box of donuts would be more of an emotional eating action versus eating something that is nourishing and something that feels good to your body. So I always look at food as, is this nourishing? Does this make me feel nourished? Does this satisfy me? And that's really where I make a lot of my choices from, because we get to make the choices, right? And we get to really eat the foods we want to eat, And in my Empowered Eating Experience program, which is a mini course that I have, I talk about bottom line foods. And if you want more information on that course, you can post here that you want more information. It's a 5-day mini course, and it's really inexpensive, and it's a great way to start to look at our mindset and our behaviors around food. And I can post information about that if you want that here. But the bottom line foods really are about, having those foods in your life that you enjoy, that you think you probably shouldn't be eating. Things like that you beat yourself up over, like, oh my God, I ate way too many chips and salsa, but you love chips and salsa. And if you didn't have them in your life, you'd feel deprived, because it's always those foods that when we deprive ourselves of them, those are usually the trigger foods that cause us to kind of overeat or binge eat or go off the rails and eat other food. Like, we're looking to fill that void if we are depriving ourselves. So this whole idea of labeling good and bad, healthy and unhealthy, it keeps us in that diet mindset of deprivation in a lot of ways. And so my encouragement to you is to start to shift and reframe the way you are looking at food. Food is nourishment. Food is pleasure. It's something that provides pleasure and provides enjoyment. And can we enjoy the food without the judgment? I always talk about the judgments and how the judgments are the biggest place that cause suffering, right? So give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. I love that you guys are here. And so can we really start to relate to food in a different way instead of good and bad? And thanks for the thumbs up. I've been on a cleanse this last week, on a raw food and juice cleanse. And in the past, if I ever wanted to do a cleanse, it would trigger all of my binge eating and deprivation and all of those things that would always come up for me. And I have to say that, like, I'm going through this cleanse, other than having a little bit of a beet toxic overload the other day, which caused me to throw up quite a few times. I drank way too much beet juice, which I didn't know about beet juice. I didn't know you could over toxify yourself with beet juice. And it was something new I learned, which I was so excited about, because I feel like in the nutrition world, you know, I know a lot, and I know a lot about different foods and how they feed our bodies. And so it was fun for me to learn something new. It wasn't fun for me how I learned it because I was really sick. But I'm over the hump, and I have to say that I am really enjoying this cleanse, and I'm feeling really good because I'm not having all of those crazy emotional, you know, wanting to binge or like, oh my God, I have to have chocolate. Or like, I noticed a couple times I was like, I wish I could have a piece of chocolate. And then I'm like, do I even really want that? Like, it's almost out of habit. It's almost out of, you know, needing something else, you know, if I'm really looking for some other feeling, or I'm noticing, like, if I'm craving something sweet, you know, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm having a sweet craving. Maybe I'll just make some tea. And that usually always does the trick, right? So it's always kind of, I think a lot of it is habitual. So anyway, I'm going through this cleanse, and I'm really looking at it as how it's nourishing me and how it's providing my body a reset and a transition into lighter foods as the seasons change, because our bodies will always want to transition as the seasons change. And we will naturally want to go toward lighter foods in these coming months that are warmer. And the great thing that I've been noticing is that I'm not labeling any of the foods. I am really just looking at all the foods as, wow, like, these are so nourishing. These feel so good in my body. I just feel really good on it, and I feel really clear, and I feel balanced in terms of my emotional state around the food, because I used to just feel so like I was white knuckling my whole way through a cleanse because I couldn't wait to just have that thing that I was missing. And that really shifted because I worked on my relationship with food, and I worked on my mindset around food, and the whole idea of labeling foods as good and bad. Because I found that when I did that, it created so much suffering, and it created me really feeling bad about myself. And it also created almost like a binge deprivation cycle. You know, it's like you go into the deprivation, you go into the binge, and it just keeps in the cycle. So labeling food, I just encourage you to start to really look at how much you label food. And I had done a video, I think back in December, around rules around food, and how food rules are kind of the same way. When we have so many rules around food, that it tends to not serve us in a healthy way. So, it's really good to look at where we have gotten all of this mindset around food, these labels. And yes, so much of it is societal, and so much of it is in the food industry, and this is good and that's bad, and carbs are bad and oil's bad, and this is good, and it's so confusing. And I was just part of the Plant-Based Transformation Summit, and I've been doing strategy calls with people from that summit, and it's been so incredible to connect with these people and hear how they have so many rules around plant-based food and vegan food, and how it's almost obsessive. And that's another thing. When we have all these rules and we have all these labels, it keeps us in that food obsession. And when we're dieting, it keeps us in a food obsession, right? Like how often do you think about food on a daily basis, especially when you're depriving yourself of it, right? It's like always there. And the cool thing I have to say is, like, on this cleanse, I'm not even really thinking about food. I'm like, but I am noticing, like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, so I need to eat, but I'm not obsessing about food and obsessing about all the things I can't have. And that is because I've done so much work around my mindset. So what is it going to take for you to start to shift your mindset and to start to really let go of these labels that you have, and to really learn to trust yourself, and to take away the judgment if you do eat something, if you do have a cupcake, or you do have an Oreo, or you do have whatever the thing it is that you enjoy, you know, to take the judgment away from it and to allow yourself, give yourself permission to have it, because at the end of the day, it's not going to ruin your health. You're not going to gain 20 pounds, because if we're learning to trust ourselves and we're learning to eat in a way that feels nourishing and good, that's always going to serve us, right? And so that's my encouragement to you today on Facebook Live Friday. And there's some really great things coming up in the next few weeks with different programs. And I'm running my 30-day cleanse starting April 17th, and it's at a big, huge discount right now. So if you're not on my mailing list, make sure you get on there at karmachow.com so you can be part of that. It's a total food-based cleanse. It's incredible. It's life-changing. It will really help you overcome cravings. It will help you shift the way you're relating to food. I mean, it does so many incredible things. And you get to be on the phone live with me 3 times out of the month. And it's just such a nourishing and incredible way to transition into the spring. So I will see you guys next week. And as always, I love to hear from you. So if you have any suggestions or you want to hear about anything from me, you can always post that here on the Facebook board. And I emailed one of my, my low battery mode came up. I was texting with one of my clients today, and I was like, she said, "Are you going live today?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "Not sure what I'm talking about yet." And she gave me a bunch of ideas, which was so great. And I didn't talk about those ideas, but I have them in my back pocket, Lisa. So thank you for, oh, Lisa just joined. That's so funny. I just mentioned you, Lisa. Hi. Anyway, I didn't use your ideas, but I have them in my back pocket for future. And today I talked about food labels. So I'm going to sign off. I know that some of you just signed on, but you can always listen to this video here, and I keep it posted live on the page. I know, sorry, Lisa. Anyway, but you can go back and listen, and thanks for joining me today. And again, I always love to hear from you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and keep mindful of those food labels: good, bad, healthy, unhealthy. We want to start to break those down, and we want to start to trust ourselves, because those food labels keep us stuck in the dieting mindset, and we don't want that dieting mindset anymore, because that dieting mindset, it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It doesn't help us feel good. It does not work. So thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. I'm signing off. It's Melissa from Karma Chow. Bye.